Hello there. I'm Eternal, and I'm an Object Show fan that has barely watched any Object shows. We have to fix that. Let's play Object Catchup. Welcome in, and we are back for another episode of Object Catch-Up, the series where we discuss object shows new and old, famous and unknown. And that will be shown today because we're going to be discussing one of the biggest Object Show episodes releases of all time, the first Object Show episode in theaters, one of the first indie animations in theaters, TPOT 20, as well as an object show with about 200 views, Battle for McDonald's, which is going to be happening after the TPOT 20 discussion. Now, this episode is going to be filmed a little bit differently because of the TPOT 20 release window, which is a little more on the evening side while I record these in the middle of the day. So there's a bit of timeline. Currently, I'm recording this before TPOT 20 releases, and the Battle for McDonald's review will also be recorded before TPOT 20 releases. However, you're only going to be seeing it after the TPOT 20 portion of this video, which is going to be the first portion because I consider it, I guess, the more relevant one. So there's going to be a bit of timeline warping, and I guess that's the theme, right? They're doing that in TPOT, so that makes more than enough sense. First of all, a quick note on yesterday. LBS's crew has watched and gave me a shout out for yesterday's analysis of LBS, so thank you a lot for the shout out. As I say with every episode, also thank you to Mikey for creating Object Show Roundup, the series that this series takes extremely heavy inspiration from. So shout out to you. And I think with that, I mean, there's not much preemptive I can say for TPOT 20 because it's not out yet. I think it's called Alone. From here, I think it's 45 minutes long. It's already been in theaters. I haven't been spoiled on it as of this hour, and I plan to not go on the internet that much to continue not getting spoiled from it. But next time you're going to hear of me is going to be with TPOT 20 washed under my belly, and then we can discuss all about it. So let's hit it. Hello, I have just come back from watching TPOT 20 right as they released the tab I had opened up the video said 7 views on it, so I was early to the pack. And there's a lot to discuss about this episode. There is so much going on. But before any of that, spoiler warning for TPOT 20, very new episode. So, of course, you may not have watched it. It is going to be playing on the screen, so make sure to go watch it and come back here. Now, the main thing to say before anything, also by the way, respect the warning at the end of TPO 20, photosensitive seizures because of flashing colors and stuff, so be wary. Secondly, I think that for the feeders, right, to bring an episode to the feeders, this one actually makes a lot of sense because this one is the most feeder feeling episode that there is. You know, like it kind of gives off vibes of a movie. Not necessarily just because it's long, sure, but we've seen episodes that are long, but they don't feel like movies. This one feels like a movie because we're getting to properly hear the story, right? Like the competition aspect of it is entirely sidelined for this episode. We are fully focused in on the story aspect of Teapot, of the Algebraians, of the lore that happened. So for a moment, Teapot doesn't matter. And that's the thing, right? So I think in terms of bringing it to the feeders, this is absolutely the way to go. Now, let's start off. I mean, we kind of have to start off from everywhere. But basically, the lore goes 16 years ago. Everybody is together in the number world, in the number planet, having fun, except for one which doesn't have any friends. Two skedaddles on their own. X and 4 are best buddies. 9 and everybody else, I think 0 and 14. No, they have a negative relationship. But yeah, and they're also sort of getting, I guess, helped out by 3, who's kind of acting as sort of mentor type character to all of them. And is kind of just very helpful. They injure each other and stuff, and it's overall, despite some of them being bullies, like Six being a bully, which is really funny considering Six looks like such a normal fella, like talking in Teapot, like in the past few Teapot episodes, that now, like, seeing how Six really acted was is actually kind of crazy. But yeah, one felt excluded from the others who weren't properly hanging out. So one left because, yeah, everybody was ignoring her. Absolutely crazy animation to introduce the title card of the episode because we don't have a teapot intro playing, so we needed a custom title card because of, well, the there's no way we have a teapot intro playing in this episode. There just isn't a spot for it because we're not. This is not the show. Is not this. Is not the point. So one leaves away, walks away on her own, very sad, and then a meteor drops down from the sky of the yo-yo light. One goes and checks and finds the yo-yo light. Now, what do I think of this? This is okay. This part is a little bit weird because, okay, look, if there's a meteor in the sky, I would presume that the others would know. Like, the fact that one found it on her own, nobody noticed a gigantic meteor falling to the ground and causing a massive flat is crazy, right? I guess they were asleep, but that should wake them up. But I digress. With that detail, one finds it. She's the closest one to it, and starts messing around with the yo-yo light because, trying to figure out what it is. Eventually, finds the way to harness its power, which is to sort of hold on to it. You end up harnessing its power. And then you can do pretty much anything with it as long as you, of course, practice and stuff. At first, it doesn't go great, but eventually, one manages to harness it. And she's trying to find a way to use it because, of course, she's underappreciated, underloved by the others. And now wants to try to show it off. So one decides to show it off to 3, who they go and they hang out with the yo-yo light. 3 shows off and they have a lovely time. 1 and 3 hanging out there until eventually they eventually go to bed after hanging out. This scene's really love. It's really cute. 3 is such a cool character. I'm not even gonna lie. 3 is amazing. They are so, like, sweet. Like, it's such like a sweet character. There's, like, nothing wrong with them. They have not done a thing to hurt a soul. 3, which is crazy because, especially if you consider how they paired up 3 to be, it's like, holy. People thought 3 was this evil psychopathic character, and it's completely not. 3 is just chill, which is crazy. But yeah, 1 and 3 have a lovely time, and eventually they go to sleep. Then it's the next morning, and the big debate comes around because everybody goes to the yo-yo light because 3 shows it to all of them, but doesn't invite 1. Now, here is the big conflict of the episode: is that 3 did not bring 1 along, or 3 did not keep to the promise that 1 made of the power. Now, who's in the right? What do you think? Who's in the right? Do you think 1 is in the right here? In my opinion, no. So, in a way, right? If you're trying to show off something to the rest of your group, it is, I think, even understandable that you wouldn't bring 1 along. I understand that it's like, oh, yeah, but 1 wants to be a part of the conversation. Yeah, sure, but, like, 1 already had the power. 1's the one who originally showed off the power, so they didn't need to get it displayed to it. So, in a way, it's like, I don't necessarily think it's that big of a deal if it was, like, if 3 showed other people the power. Now, I think the main thing that happens is that 3 promised 1 to keep it a secret. But again, it's one of those things. I don't blame 3 in this situation because you agree to a promise before you see what it is. And when you find out that the power is literally the possibility to do anything. Like you unlock everything with the power of these yo-yo lights. How are you gonna keep it to yourself if like you can't show it off? Like you can't show off your power without explaining it. But yes, and three, being such like a teacher, mentor type character to the others, definitely was gonna show it to the rest of them, and it's like it makes more than enough sense that three would do that. So yeah, one is in the wrong. One is a villain character in such an interesting way, where like they have a reason. It's just not. Yeah, it's just one of those characters that like they have a point where like if you can wire your own brain into seeing the world how they see it, they have 100% a point. But it's one of those things where when you take out the mantle, right? You start to see like when you see the world from the other perspectives, it's like, yeah, one has this problem of selfishness, of their view of the world being the only one that they know because they're alone and haven't gotten to experience that many other worldviews. And it's sad to see, it's sad to say, and I don't necessarily blame one that much for being selfish when like all they've ever wanted was to have a self to attach to, right? But in general, yeah, it ends up being that is what this one's downfall, right? She thinks of herself and cannot put herself in the mind view of others, right? Of like, why would three want to show the power to everybody else? It's because it's the fucking most incredible thing that they've ever seen. Like the entire species. You gotta remember, algebraians, I mean, at the end of the day, they're normal species up until that point. If you imagine like how the fellas in the other world are, the one that the world that two originally goes to. It's like they're just normal fellas. The object, they're just generally normal fellas. It's like it's only here with all of this with this meteor dropping in and giving them all like it is truly it's a blessing to them. So I three is making the most correct decision. The only thing that three maybe does wrong is not waking up one. Maybe three, in my opinion, three is the nicest sweeter ever. So it's like, yeah, you just sort of you could have woken her up. I guess you didn't want to wake her up. Maybe it was a beauty sleep. But yeah, one severely mischaracterizes it, and eventually they decide that they've had enough. People are like, "Hey, you're being mad. You gotta leave." And then one comes in, grabs three, and freaking deletes them from society. The algebraian has died, which is something that we never Prima never seen in its proper aspect. Like seeing the algebraian generally just be dead is not something that we properly see. So three dies, and what happens is that everybody else obviously shuns one away. One realizes what they've done and tries to recover three. So we know that the powers do include recovery. Like recovery is one of the powers. Two can recover people. One, no, not one. Four can recover people, and X actually can as well. X's powers are definitely in the weirder sense of this skill because when did X earn those powers? Like we know that X got them, but got some of it as well from the yo-yo lights because everybody took a share of the yo-yo light, I think. But in general, like the fact that four managed to learn all of the things about recovery before X, it is a little weird when you think about it, but that's not exactly an important plot detail. Either way, they all have the power of recovery. So one eventually tries to recover three. Now, either for not having enough power or just not having the knowledge, right? Because we know with X in BFB in late BFB, X can recover these characters. Eventually, X figures out how to do it. It's just the knowledge has to be there, and we know that like the powers they have a. I don't know what the learning curve of the powers are. That's one thing that's not explained properly. What is the what like the learning curve? Because some people managed to pick it up and learn immediately. 3 and 1 didn't learn it immediately, but other characters seem to when they got the power, like 4 or whatever, like they seem to learn relatively quickly what everything's on about, which is a thing that's interesting. But either way, one's presumption at least is that there's not enough power there to create 3. So 3 ends up existing in this in this limbo state of being very injured, doesn't really understand, doesn't have a proper brain and stuff. So can't exactly do stuff properly. Now, we've seen this happen before with X again. I remember X tried to recover. Who was it? X tried to recover someone in BFB and it didn't work. It was a glitchy version of themselves. This is a thing that happens. When you do a incorrect recovery, you end up with a glitch version of the thing itself. And one does that right here. The values changes. X makes a comment about it. And then eventually people start to escape. 2 especially. 2 just leaves like immediately. 1 tries to go grab more power to try to like heal 3 or recover 3 fully. It's all fully gone. It's all used up by the rest of them. I think the rest of them probably used up majority of the yo-yo light. I might have just ran itself out. I don't know why exactly that yo-yo the yo-yo light broke itself, but either way, it did. 4 decides that it was enough. Really weird scene happens around the 19-minute mark because 4 like almost considers 1's plead for a moment, looks at X, and then decides no, which is interesting. I guess there's too much of a cherish for X to really see it. They all work together to banish 1 to the moon. They create a barrier in the moon, bring 1 in, and then seal it so that eventually 1 just simply cannot leave. And then they decide to not huddle up in the same spot. So they all decide to leave the number worlds and they go in their own separate worlds. Everybody goes in their own separate worlds to sort of split themselves up and do all of that stuff. So they decide to give a portion of the power, since 4 took the big chunk of the power, and give some of it to 2. Which, by the way, would that make 4 stronger than 2? This is one debate. This one question has always been debated because, of course, everybody's fighting for the power of 2. I guess it's because 2 is sharing the power, but I always find it interesting, like the 4v2 power scaling, because 4 could have technically offered something greater. I think 4 is maybe stronger than 2. I thought 2 was stronger than 4, but now seeing that 4 had to give the power to 2, maybe 4 is stronger than 2. That's a debate that I don't think there's a proper answer to. But anyway, 2 goes and claims the power and decides to leave off into their own lands. And everybody else goes their own separate ways. 4 and X go their own way. 9 goes their own way. We know where 9 went. 8 goes their own way. Every number goes their own way. So 4 decides that I maybe one of the powers of the yo-yo light is that you can create a universe inside you. Okay. And 4 decides that, because I don't know if they had it before, but I guess maybe they didn't, and decides to put 3 in there to try to keep them safe before eventually leaving. Now, is that a good thing? Well, of course. My main thing that I don't understand between everybody's decision is why don't they try to recover 3? Like, we saw 1 try to do it and it didn't work, but like 4 has recovered so many people. Like, so many people, so many, like, why has it not crossed their mind to try to like properly recover 3? Like, okay, sure, 1 couldn't recover 3, but 4 has more power. 2 has more power. Why did they never do it? I don't know that. Because, like, why are we keeping 3 in this half state? We knew when, like, X recovered the character wrongly in the BFDC. This one BFDC, that's like 20 seconds long, is making a lot of my theories here. We're writing a lot on that. But, like, they immediately, okay, sure, try again, vanish, because it's not worth it to have somebody who's like whose whole life is pain because they're just glitching out constantly. So it's like, just try again, just do something. I don't know. That one, I have to disagree with the Algebraians on that one. Like, keeping 3 in this limbo state in a jail cell isn't useful. Try to revive 3. Do something. 1 is gonna try to recover 3. Why did the other ones never think of this damn idea? Like, they figured out that they can combine their powers together to seal the fucking moon, and they telling me they can't do their powers together to recover the person that one by themselves nearly recovered. I like this is that's I think a massive oversight by the Algebraians there. Like, it wasn't even considered that they could recover 3. Like, no, apparently only 1 is able to recover 3, which makes no sense. You can recover anybody. Like, the characters in BFB have died all sorts of random deaths to other people, and it's not the other fella that has to recover them. No, 4 can just recover them. Whatever. I am upset about this. So, now, what's next? 4, no, 1 is just in the moon, which, by the way, also quick note, I understand that this is for animation, but what is the lighting of the moon? How bright is the moon? How bright is the inside of the moon? It's fully dark until it's not. Just gonna point that out. In a few scenes, like the scenes where it's originally shot in, but yeah, within the montage, like, can one even see? But yeah, 1 is relaxing. The moon eventually gets shaken up, placed on Earth. Then, in Lightbulb's elimination, the crack forms. 1 goes on and manages to open it and leave, and then starts just scouting around everything as the competition goes on. 1 figures out there's a competition. There's the 4 inner land that 1, I guess, didn't know about, which is interesting that 1 wouldn't experiment with her powers in the moon. I mean, because 1 would have the powers. We know that 1 was able to, like, throw shock beams at the moon. It didn't work because of the barrier, but theoretically 1 should have still been capable of maybe creating the inner dimension while she was away. That could have, like, entertained him, but no, she only figures that out because of the 4's exit. 3 is there, still laid down in jail. I don't just recover 3. Whatever. Yeah, you can hear them chatting on about 1 because they found out that the moon opened and the 1 was gone. And then 1 figures out the idea of signing the deal to slowly rack up rack up material, I guess. Rack up signatures, have to gain more power, gain more trust, and in general, just sort of disrupt the 2 show as much as possible because that would make 2 upset. So that all makes sense. Then 1 heads back to the Algebraian land where 6 is. Still don't understand 6. Because 6's power, 6 is the only one that remained on the number world all alone, which for a moment makes 1 sad and then makes 1 happy again, which is interesting. But yeah, 1 is but yeah, 6 is alone. True. At that point, now 6 is not alone. Now 6 is in the exit, which is interesting. 6 still doesn't seem to have any powers. We have not seen 6 do a damn thing. Did 6 not grab any of the yo-yo? Like, what happened? This bro has not flown. This bro has not used any telepathic power. This bro has not done a thing. Like, he's not moved. He's genuinely. The only time I guess he did it to shut the moon down, but he's just not used it. He's been completely neutral. He's like, yeah, yeah, you know. But that's still kind of, I find it weird. Either way, 6 is gone, which I remember. By the way, in the Catchup one, I said that 6 was them because Algebra Brilliance by default are them. So that's what I wanted to point out. Like, I point out that they're them. No, they're by default them. But if some of them they end up gendered, like 6 is she, 1 is she, right, and all that stuff. If I'm not mistaken, 2 is he. So eventually they gather up more signatures. One finds out about BFDI, which is not a thing that one knew about before, which is interesting. I don't. I wonder when. Okay, so the timeline goes that all of that stuff, all that banishment, as they call it, happened 16 years ago. 16 years ago was in 2009, which is right before the release of BFDI 1, which released in 2010. So that means that that's all sort of the prequel to BFDI. However, you gotta remember that the Algebraians, by the time of BFDI, isn't a thing yet. Because it's kind of a. So, like, if we're. Okay, hold on. If we're going with the lore, right? So, on the 1st of January 2010, BFDI releases, and then we know that 4 ended up becoming a big fan of this show, wherever 4 was. It was in a house at the end of BFB30. And then in January 1st, 2009, XFOHV released, where X finds out his value. Now, is this canonical? I kind of don't really remember, but either way, because I think if it was like a canonical video in the timeline, it would be a little weird because I don't know if by the time of that happening, X had the value because 4 was still trying to help figure it out in the clip that we saw, them being on the swing and stuff. So maybe it's not canon that X found out his value on that date, but either way, it is still a thing that is interesting to notoriety. But if it was accurate timeline, then that means that the algebraic lands would still be together, and therefore sometime between that year, the whole debacle with 1 happened, and then BFDI happened on Earth. 4 was a big fan and came by like 10 years later to do BFB. Okay, sure, that's all cool. 1 figures out also the pencil is evil because of that, because pen and eraser are watching the BFDI on the TV. By the way, it's still the cutest thing in the world that TV, the character, is willing to help out. It's like, yeah, fellas, come in, movie night. I'll show the movie. Like, I just find that a cute detail. I know I mentioned it when talking about TPOT 17, but it is the cutest detail that TV does that for a pen and eraser. Either way, 1 eventually finds for some reason has something to do with Leafy. I don't know why 1 cares about Leafy. I don't think I catch that. But why? Oh, because Leafy was alone, no? Yeah, because Leafy was shunned. Yeah. Okay, I got it. I just understood it live. Because so 1 feels a connection to Leafy and wants to have the Leafy signature, because Leafy, in a way, experienced a lot of the things that 1 did, because Leafy did a bad thing at the end of BFDI, at BFDI 25, and then got shunned away by all her peers, had to run away, be alone for ages in Yo-Yo. Okay, well, I see you. You're actually making sense. All right, 1. So yeah, 1 eventually decides to go and grab Leafy for some reason before actually making a deal with Leafy. Decides to put them in a chair in the middle of the void. That 1 I don't know. 1 keeps messing around with the show, grabs Needle and Barbag, which are 2 signatures we never saw, I think, from the regular show. But yeah, they budged pretty easy. And then we talk about Leafy. Apparently, immediately after Gady, after the Gady signature, so maybe in the middle of the world collapsing, right after the world returns normal, Leafy comes in. Leafy successfully manages to boss one around by simply just hitting in the feels. One is very emotionally insecure. So by just going, you suck, one was immediately taken aback because a lot of the other ones is, what are you? Like, they're treating one like this kind of extraterrestrial entity that is above them, which in a way, yes, that's true, but also, it brings one's ego up significantly because it's this thing, right? With that one, it's this thing that one desired, right? So Leafy's the first person to completely not do that. Like, Leafy immediately treats one as equal, which is the main thing that differentiates the situation. One goes, "You are not nice. You are evil," um, and explains it directly. One gets pissed off about it, but like, one is having a one-on-one conversation. One could just go and be evil and whatever, but doesn't do that because one feel like, at least in my way of having watched the episode, one, yeah, it just feels like there's a conversation going on. Leafy isn't threatened by one's power celestiality status, and therefore it's a more one-on-one conversation and a more one-on-one debate. So Leafy successfully manages to even evade a laser beam from one. It calls out the niceness. It makes a knife gouge in the chair that we eventually see in our Teapot episodes. And eventually, after Leafy yaps for a bit, gets sent back into the Roboti land, the camping. Okay, I think it's the. Alright. So, one of the things that I never didn't understand at the end of Tipo 19 was, I don't know where Roboti went. Because Roboti was in some camping place. Alright. Bracelety was also there. That's one scene in Tipo 9. There's one scene. It's like 20 seconds. And this place that Leafy ends up in, I don't know what, is entirely. It's like the same place. It has to be the same place. I'm sorry. So, like, it's just that thing. It's just a thing. So, they're together, possibly. Fiery goes and is alone because after trying to rebuild with Leafy, I guess presumes that it was the wind that did it. I think Fiery, and eventually found 8 Ball and whatever. And then we return back to the present in turn, or well, the present is the past. It's a few months ago. Episode product. I'm telling you, the timeline that's fully chronological, like with actual times, doesn't make that much sense. Because there's no way between the last scene of Tipo 19 and the last scene of this episode, there was a 3 month gap. There's no way one spent 3 months, like, doing nothing. Like, only to banish 4. Like, that's the old. What is that it? But anyway, Pencil does get sent back to BFDI 1A, which is the one thing that that I don't think anybody was expecting, to be honest. Like, because considering, okay, one has upheld a few of them, not too many. Ones with safe contestants, one has it usually upheld. Like going like, Fanny, bring Mouth back, and send you out there. Usually the ones that wouldn't like directly completely disrupt everything, like if the contestant in the game just disappeared, that would be weird. So one only ever didn't upheld the deal with eliminated contestant like Gady, because Gady didn't have anywhere left to be. So you could just lie. What are you gonna do? Gady was meant to be eliminated anyways, right? So that makes sense. Um, but yeah, I'm pretty surprised that Pencil did actually get sent properly, correctly to the past. And this is a incredibly cool scene, by the way, because like you can see the 3D-ness with the BFDI 1A asset. It's not shown that closely because I don't know if they did it like how well it's done, but from the looks of the thing, it's great. The rift in the sky is still there. We gotta see where that rift in the sky is going because Black Hole is still in the same room, at least maybe. It's been months. Again, according to the timeline, it's been months, right? That a black hole has just been chilling in the one room and one is hilariously distracted. So not really sure what's going on there. But yeah, the rift is black hole is the only thing that was keeping it together. I don't know if one would have the capability to fix that rift. Would one want to fix that rift? Probably, because the universe is pretty important. Like, it doesn't matter if you have the power of the whatever. Like, if the universe doesn't exist, you don't exist either. So, I mean, I presume you'd care about the rift, but it's one of those extremely dangerous things, right? I guess we'll have to see if in TPOT 21, there's like a there's another universal collapse. That's a thing that's possible. I know we did it in TPOT 15, but how is it not gonna happen again? You know, like what if Pencil wins the BFDI or something? Like, it's all things are can't happen exactly the same way. Like, okay, Pencil, you're back in the past, but you need. How are you gonna change without changing? Unless like one was unbelievably big brain and was like, yeah, I'll send you to the alternative past where you are not affecting the current reality, but only are affecting the the alternate reality, the AU, multiverse theory. One is there's is there there's there's T-Paw multiverse theory now. All right, I just made it. So it's possible that Pentacle sent to a multiverse, I guess. Which is interesting. But either way, one chooses to banish four back in the moon, out of like resentment, and then four gets stuck there in the moon. Do we know what happens? No, we don't. The moon gets kicked off to who knows where, in the long whoever. If this was now we're talking about accuracy, but if the moon without orbit, I think just technically moves forever. I think if the moon doesn't have anything to orbit around, is that how astrology? Is that is that how the moon works? Right? If the moon, because the moon can't orbit itself. I think no. Huh? Wait. The moon is too small to be attached to a satellite or something, so it would just keep spinning on forever. This is the most irrelevant thing I've mentioned this whole video. Either way, then one decides to go find and take everybody else, all of the other ones who did their own thing. Now, starting with 9, they start with 9, which they just did delete the entirety of the world 9 ended up in. With the little skateboards and stuff. The skateboards die immediately, according to the background. 9 is. I mean, we don't know where 9 ends up, so we don't know what the idea is here, because we then roll over into the credits. And there's a few ways this could go. It's possible that the idea of 1 is just to murder them all. Like, a sort of a revenge plan. But apparently, I don't know. Considering the whole plan is to recover 3 and stuff, I think the idea is just to force them together. I think maybe get 3, no, not get 3, get 9 into the one lands, right? Alongside everybody else. That is, I think, the thing. Second thing I would like to mention, by the way, 9. I don't know. Okay, I don't remember the shorts. I haven't watched the shorts. I'll get to them someday. They're not the goal, but as soon as a new Teapot short, I'll probably just watch them all at once. So 9 sounds so much like Suitcase. It's insane. I checked, and yeah, the voice actor is the same. I wonder if Nine speaks like that in the shorts. I don't know, but anyway, Sam Thornberry is a good VA, but in this kid definitely borrowed a lot of the suitcase voice to make the 9 voice there. Um, it is all right. I do not mind, but it does exist. Now, another option is that one could get them all. It's interesting because I don't know what one's plan is. I think one's plan is to get them all together, like bring them all into the one lands, and then you can do whatever, have a discussion. But one is the leader because everybody's within one. I think that's happening because I think one saw the 3 within 4 and got inspired. I think that's the idea, but it's also possible that one's just trying to murder everyone. Now, the second thing I don't understand, why one? Okay, one, we got taught. Why did you not take X? Like, I feel it's a little bit counterintuitive. You're already on Earth, so if the idea was just to get X, like you could have just gotten X, you know? Like, okay, you banish 4 back into the moon as revenge, sure, but like if you're supposed to take X, like you could take X. It's like you're right, like you were looking at the show, you know where X was, whatever. Um, it's good for X that X got forgotten about because X is still chilling. We did not see X at all in this episode. In modern times, we saw X a lot in the past, in the flashback. That's like pretty much the whole episode. But yeah, it's one X still is theoretically within the land. Okay, we've seen very little of progress in the timeline. We've seen like about 33 seconds. Apparently, it's been 3 months, but it's not been that long. In the present, this was mainly just a lot of flashback going on. It's very important. Flashback was very good flashback, but yeah, in general, it was something. And then we head into the post-credit scene where there's winner and loser discussing how they're alive. Now, these two are the ones where society's up to them. They have to figure out how to revive other people. So, yet again, there's not that many options for revivals. Number one, X could revive them. I don't think X lost their powers because X wasn't there in the whole debacle. X was just gone. So X should theoretically still have those powers, should still be safe with them, which means that X is capable of recovering people from time to time. So that is possible. However, X needs the information and X is just chilling there. So then there's winner and loser, which I need to find the remote. I don't think the remote was ever broken. Like, the building is still there. And then what happens is Fiery Jr. somehow appears. Okay, I don't know how this happens. I think yeah, I don't know. But Fiery Jr. somehow spawns in, becomes alive, gets conceived by the candle, uh, and is now there as well with loser and winner. Fiery Jr. is pretty upset about it, but yeah, I don't know. This is a trio that I guess will need to save the world. I just love the winner, loser, and Fiery Junior trio. That has the entire world on their shoulders. Yeah, it's great. And Grassy's still there. Grassy's still able to save the world. If Grassy somehow ever leaves, I don't know why that would ever happen, but so far that is the concept. And then that is pretty okay. And then we reached the end of the episode finally. Just a few notes. The animation is so good. The animation in this episode is amazing. Like, they've truly found a way to make animation that is very fluid, expressive, good, still has the right amount of humor to it when, a character is unreasonably upset or whatever. But also make it relatively consistent enough to where it's like it's not really a thing, it's not really an issue. From animator to animator, like it doesn't ever collapse. Which I know it doesn't sound like that important of a thing, but we saw like in post-split BFB that is a thing that they struggle with a lot. Having that animator to animator inconsistency can definitely sometimes take you out of the show a little bit, but people doesn't have it. It's just all all the style. That's a good style. Sometimes it's like mildly different, but it's mildly different in a way where it just feels like a stylistic choice, so it's all good. And then what? I don't know. We reached the end of the episode. Wow, this just talking about it while discussing has taken so much time. It is truly a special episode. It is so much. Um, and yeah. By the way, two is still around theoretically. If the idea is to take two is still chilling. Is bed rotting as usual. But should still be in the hotel doing their thing. So that is the current status. It's not really changed the status since last time. We're just going to hear all about the one lore and that whole scenario. Now, where do I think we're going next here for TPOT 21 and wherever? As we know, the TPOT is completely on pause right now. Nobody's there to host it. Nobody's alive. There was no cake and steak ceremony, even though voting was opened for TPOT 19. You could vote for Deadpack yet again or da 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 da. But yeah, that is, I guess, postponed until next time. So it's all looking like TPOT 21 or whatever next is in the story is going to be. Nobody can currently contend with one. in terms of just raw power, like nobody's there unless we find out there's the letter world that had a yo-yo light and Mr. A is suddenly the strongest thing of all time. Like that's not happening. So theoretically, we should have one be the strongest. So as far as the take them, get everybody together, I think one is going to successfully do that. And then it's about recovering three. Do I think one is able to recover three? My opinion is yes. Because okay, I think everybody can recover. Four gonna recover three, bro. Two can recover three. It was so possible. Should just tried. Like, why are you keeping half-ass three in there? Where it's like Schrodinger's life, like you live and you don't live. That's Schrodinger's cat. What is it called? It's like, dude, whatever. I'm pissed off at them for not doing that. And I really hope that's not a writing oversight. I really hope that's a character oversight. But anyway, so dude, I don't. So I think they're gonna eventually recover three, but one is probably gonna get hit in the fields. I think one is gonna get pep talk to the highest order by three. So there's gonna be some scene where they have a discussion. Three's like, "Do I forgive you? No," or something. That's my prediction. And then in the meantime, the contestants will try to figure themselves out. I think winner and loser are smart enough as a duo. They're famously a duo. I think they're smart enough as a duo to be able to figure something out. I think they're capable of solving something. So that's nice. Now, I don't know what happens then. Two needs to get informed about what's going on in a way where they can do something. X is still the only one with any power. It's like I don't know. But X is gonna get taken because we know where X is. It's such a bad situation for everybody else. Like one theoretically would just win. This is one of those situations in the movies, right, where you see the character be in such an unbelievably strong position that there needs to be a monumental screw up for one to throw this away. However, let's be honest. There is going to be a monumental screw up here. One is not exactly the smartest. As I previously stated, one's main issue is that they are self centered because they have never felt the ability to center themselves to someone else because everybody always put her aside, which means that she is the only person in her own mind. Until now, I guess, where there's literally people in her mind. But like now, so that's just how she thinks. She cannot see an opinion. Probably like she cannot understand where they're coming from. It just has to be her. So I think from that perspective, especially if one recovers three and then has that whole debate going on with three, that's I think when a breakdown is going to happen and something's going to happen. However, I don't know. It is an absolute doozy of an episode. That is my TPOT future predictions. Now, again, yeah, there's not a lot of show predictions going on because we need something like we can't host Teapot right now. We just can't. If Teapot 21 has a cake of steak in it, I am going to be hilariously surprised because I don't know why that would happen. The only way I can see Teapot returning in the current state of it is maybe announcer, because I genuinely cannot remember having to announcer. I don't remember. Did he like fly off or something? Like if the announcer comes back or something with a new recovery center or whatever, then we could maybe talk. But in the current state of things, Teapot 21 would not have any type of show in it. Teapot 21 is entirely just has to be one. It's one, you know. Um. All right, a few other notes. I really like the title, "Alone." The episode is about being alone, but also it's all one. Alone has the word one in it. It's all one. Because it's all about one. It's it's very it's more like lucky roleplay, like roleplay, roleplay. It's more like lucky wordplay because like the fact that the word alone is like that is pretty nice. But yeah. As a reminder, Fiery and A-Ball are still around. That's another detail. One pretty much just shut them going they don't matter, but that's still a thing. Black Hole is still on the rim. No idea what Black Hole is going to be doing. I think Black Hole was entirely just, I guess, put there in to be in limbo. Like, I don't think there's any deal we want to sign with Black Hole. Black Hole's not going to sign anything anyways. Black Hole's too busy with the whole Death Pack charade. But like as far as in terms of stubbornness, Death Pack members. But yeah, so that's the whole situation going on there. Other details, man, I don't. There are so many individual details, right? Like we have covered pretty much the ground level stuff. Like if somebody spent like proper a lot of time analyzing people, so we can get a proper like 3 hour yap session. But this is me, like literally, I started recording this 5 minutes after TPOT 20 finished for me, and now it's like 2 hours since it because I was just talking so much. I think I'm satisfied with what I've covered. I covered the entire episode. I covered other details and all of that stuff. Um, like in general, I don't know what it could happen. Like I don't know. The only other thing that I think is an interesting idea is four is stuck there, of course, because of the moon. However, four doesn't necessarily need to stay stuck there alone, because if you think about it, there's still people in four's land, like in four, right? Because there's the whole people around the exit, like exit stuff, and that place never left. Okay, okay. This is the thing I don't know what happened. What happened to that place? Because if four has no powers, theoretically four isn't able to stand there anymore. So maybe one, by taking four's power, one is also the owner of the exit. Maybe that's what's going on. Now that I think about it, because one had two, wait, but no one didn't have four's powers yet when they erased Barf back. But it's part of the contract, I guess, right? I don't. It's so much shenanigans going on in this godforsaken show. But basically, what I'm saying is that if four is capable of reconnecting to the foreland, four could talk there. Could go there. Could go to three directly. Try to figure out what's going on with three. Maybe talk to the other people in the exit, like six. Bell and whoever Needle. So that's an idea. If four can do that, I don't know if four can do that because four has currently no powers. Uh, but it is a concept, because if four has no powers, I would have guessed that the land would have been deleted. That would have been my guess. But it is, I guess, more possible that one inherited forest territory in a way. Like I'm talking like it's World War II. The territory takeover. There was a freaking military invasion on four. Like I. But yeah, I mean, okay. I think that makes more sense. Maybe one inherited the territory of four, so now it's one's territory instead of four's territory. But if like it was a thing that the four lands are still within four, and we know that it's possible to leave the four lands through the mouth, maybe, just maybe, four still has time to figure out a way to get three or six or whoever and get them in the moon, and maybe there just might be enough power to work to do something that it would be cool. So there we go. That's my theory crafting. I did my analysis. Writing in this episode is great. I mean, they pretty much wrote a movie. It's a very nice story, and you can see all of the elements get into it. All of the times one appeared in previous episodes and stuff. Like, this was excellently foreshadowed, and even if it wasn't necessarily like, even if when they were foreshadowing it, it wasn't necessarily this the plan, they managed to write in foreshadowing extremely well. So writing in this episode is elite. Animation in this episode is elite. Music is fine. Okay, to be honest, music wasn't necessarily, I think. I didn't notice it, which is the nice thing of a soundtrack, of an OST, right? It's it's one of the more important things of a score, but it never like tried to stand itself out too much, which is all right, it does its job. And then yeah, I mean, all of the other roles, voice actors are obviously on point, especially one's voice actor does extremely good job at conveying one's emotion in of course, the emotional scenes where one has to talk, like with three, with the three death scene and stuff. So huge props to every single member of the Teapot team for for making epic shows. And I've yapped enough. I've yapped longer than the. Have I yapped longer than the length of Teapot? Oh my god, I have. By a significant margin as well. I am gonna stop talking, alright? So, I'm gonna wrap up my Teapot 20 discussion. We're gonna return to the past before I've watched Teapot 20 because we're gonna be talking about another show called Battle for McDonald's that I also watched and had a release today. Okay, welcome back to the past. Theoretically, the TPOT 20 segment should have played itself in full, and now you can return back here to me, still completely oblivious to what happens in TPOT 20, because we have to talk about the next Object Show that just had a release yesterday. It is created by fella Goldfish OSC, YouTuber with 260 subscribers, that has created quite a few tiny little object shows that, they're kind of less popular, just super short usually, with episodes lasting about 2 to 5 minutes. And this is going to be one of them. It's called Battle for McDonald's. It only has 2 episodes, but they're really short. So I thought, even though this is a TPO 20 episode, we can fit it in here, as one of yesterday's releases, because we're talking about object shows of all sizes over in this series. So the first episode of this series is called My Movie. I don't know what to expect, to be honest. I haven't watched it. It released 6 months ago, so let's see what Goldfish was cooking up for us. All right, then. So I have just finished watching BFM1, My Movie. Spoiler warning for this show. Of course, the link is in the description to the video if you want to go watch it yourself before listening to me talk about it. So this is a rough experience, unfortunately. What's going on is basically there's a Mr. McDonald's, I think, which is the host of this, gets an object show, decides for the teams to make the teams. Okay, so the teams get made. One of them is called Team Stupid. The other one, I don't, is called the Writers, I think. The Writers, because they write, apparently. And then the third team is called I don't even know. So sure. And then they have a challenge that is to make a movie, apparently. Like they have to write and film a movie, and then eventually McDonald's rates them. So that is the plot line of the episode. However, about 1.5 minutes in, when the challenge starts, all animation gets given up on. Like there's no more animation. There's a scrolling fade of text that will just keep going for 5 minutes as the characters talk. Now, I understand animating, especially a 6 minute episode, especially if you're doing it all solo, can definitely be considered. It can definitely be difficult, but it's not a good move for a few reasons. So, well, first of all, you don't see it, but I think the main issue, right, is that this is all voice acted by the same person, because like there isn't enough of vocal variety within the characters. Like a lot of them speak in sort of the same voice. A few of them you can see that there's a higher pitch or lower pitch or like a more roughness going on in the voice, but in general they're all speaking in this kind of normal voice, which means that like I don't know who's speaking at what time. Like it is very difficult to tell. So even if you're like, oh, okay, let's just listen and imagine, which it could work. We've seen stuff like exit interviews in II and stuff, for example. There's usually no visuals going on, but you can hear, but like I don't mind just hearing characters talk sometimes. But like, yeah, in this case, it doesn't really work because of that. Now, there's also a few other little production issues. First, there's just something playing in the background. It sounds like a YouTube video. I don't know what it is, to be honest, but it does sound like a YouTube video. But it's constantly playing in the background. So, I mean, I hope this gets fixed in episode 2. Like turn off the TV. And then there's just a constant ruffling of the microphone. It might be the a phone mic, right? Which in this case, fair enough, it does tend to pick up a lot of wind and a lot of that jazz. And in that case, the only way to really solve it is to film in a different to record in a different spot with less wind, like a closet. That's one of the big recommendations. If you have a closet, try to go in there. You'll get good audio. on mobile. So that is the production standpoint of it. Now, from a challenge perspective, okay, I'll be honest, I only understood one of the team's story arcs. So they have a team where they decided that one of them would like move a puppet stick. Like Pac-Man, no, who somebody has a puppet stick and they moved around an actor or something. And then it's like horror movie, or is that a different team? It's a really difficult to understand. It's like a horror movie where everybody dies. That's the plot of the horror movie. It's just it's horror. It's scary because they die or something. I think that's the same fella. They have a debate about who's holding the camera, which is like the camera operator is usually not a character in the movie. Like, when have you seen a movie where the person holding the camera is a character? There's some fourth wall breaking where that's a thing, but in general, I don't know how that's the thing. Um, there's not even a voting screen, which come on, it could have probably had a voting screen, but quite frankly, there isn't really time for a voting screen now that I think about it, because yeah, the episode ends abruptly. It doesn't like we don't get an outro or anything. There, one of the characters was in the middle of talking, and then 6 minutes hit, and then the thing just kind of stopped. The video just ended abruptly, and yeah, it is pretty rough. Uh, Positives, the intro is pretty cool. I don't mind the intro. I mean, of course, it's a little bit of like there's no assets drawn. It's like JPEGs of stuff, but that's fine. You people you can make it work. A lot of characters I didn't even hear about them, like PS5, Top Hat. I don't know. I've not seen these characters. It feels like the cast is mildly too big for it. For a show of this like level. But yeah, I mean, in general, there's really not that much to say about it. It's not exactly, unfortunately, it's not a great watch. It's not something I would recommend watching as of current, because there isn't much going on for half of it. The audio, which is the only thing that you can focus on because there's no visuals, is okay. Like, you can hear the words, but you can't make out much else than that. Characters, there's background audio, there's a lot of background noise, and all of that stuff. So, I guess we'll see if any of that's improved in BFM number 2. So, as I just stated, the second video and currently the latest episode of Battle for McDonald's 2024, even though this is not a 2024 series, this is a 2025 series, is called Infected. It released one day ago, so this is fresh. This is a new review of it. This episode is 2 minutes long, which is quite a bit shorter than my movie. Let's see if in the 6 months there was an improvement made on BFM 1. Let's see it. Hello, I have just watched BFM 2. As usual, spoiler warning for BFM 2 Infected. It is 2 minutes long, so if you want to see what I'm talking about, you can go check it out. It wouldn't necessarily take that long. So this episode is extremely short. It is 2 minutes and it feels like 2 minutes. No, it's honestly, it's 2 minutes and it feels like one, because half of it's an intro and half of it's a voting screen. So if you think about it, it is like 1 minute and 10 seconds of an episode. So they do voting, the elimination voting, which we don't know from the last episode who was the worst. No, we did know who was the worst team. I didn't understand if it was somebody was the worst team because they got like a 5 out of 10 or something. 3 votes. Long Gray Man, the hit character that I have never seen speak so far, is eliminated with 2 votes. Unfortunately, the wrath of the 3 viewers has decided that they are eliminated. Fair enough. I mean, they're the most boring design. If I was to vote for somebody, I maybe vote them. I'd probably vote like the Coiny, because that's just a screen cap with CapCut on the side of a coin of a YouTube video of Coiny, which is kind of weird. Long Gray Man doesn't have any final words, gets eliminated. Then we have a skip with fries and Happy Meal, which for some reason, I don't know, the foodies, they're debating, and double hamburger just goes and steals all of them or something. Its scene has nothing to do with anything as far as I'm aware. I thought it was a setup for the infected, like those fries are getting infected, but maybe not though, because we're in the McDonald's. So that's what I'm thinking. Maybe it is a setup for the infection, because if we're in the McDonald's, then they get infected or whatever, and then it's like a McDonald's is the one tagging them. So maybe that's an idea. I wouldn't mind that as if that was the piece of lore that's going on. There's also a second voice actor apparently for Happy Meal. They got into some drama apparently. I don't, how we have BFM drama. Um, but here the challenge, yeah, is tag basically in faction. Then the team cool runs around for a total of half a second and then gets immediately found by McDonald with a banhammer. They get tagged, and then that's the challenge over. The challenge lasts the entire amount of 7 seconds, if I'm not mistaken. So it's not exactly a incredible challenge because it's super short and half of the characters don't get screen time. Like the icy drink, no screen time. The heart, no screen time. The cool, no screen time. Technically, 63 gets like 1 line of screen time. The arch card gets 1 line of screen time, and the King's Island gets 1 line of screen time. But it is not a lot of it. Overall, for sure. We do have a voting screen this time, so there's more editing going on. There is some improvement. I think the vocals are mildly less messy, but there is still the background noise. It depends on the cut. You can tell that the cuts is kind of like they're recorded in different places. Like in one time it's windy, one time there's the TV background noise, the other time there's anything. But my absolute top tier recommendation for the show is like, okay, animation wise and length wise, it is what it is, but the audio quality is quite improvable, you know? Like it's improvable in a way where like I can generally recommend it. Like if there is background noise of a movie playing in the background, don't record there, right? Like that's just a recommendation. Like I think that's followable, you know, like if you have a video playing in the background, I would turn it off or go somewhere else or wait till a different time, right? It makes sense. The wind is like, okay, you got to do what you got to do when you have like a noisy microphone or a noisy room, like a phone. But like when there's genuinely just background video in the background, is like, come on, we can do better. So that is my absolute primary recommendation for it as a show. In general, the other recommendation I'd make is to probably just try to flesh it out further. I get that these episodes they're not coming out within great speed and they're gonna take a while, but like I think that having a for an Object show, right? I think that having an episode where you get to properly see characters do stuff. Maybe if it takes longer, right? I think it's more worth it, you know, because you end up being more satisfied of an end product. You get to properly inform viewers on what your show is, like what your vision is, right? You get to write stuff because with this, I don't know, it just doesn't feel like a very satisfying watch, and I don't know if it's that satisfying to make, because like, what did you write? You know, like you wrote a cake elimination, which is pretty much written for you, and then you wrote a challenge which ends in 1 line. Like it's not that much to it, right? Like you gotta, I think, focus in. Maybe it'll take longer. Maybe there isn't that much motivation to make the show. In which case, fair enough. But my recommendation definitely just take the time that you need to make an episode with some substance to it. The movie episode, for as much as it didn't get animated, it did try to have some substance to it, right? It was just a little bit confusing because there weren't any other VAs and all that stuff. But like, if it was properly animated, I think it would turn out okay because you could see the characters, what they're thinking, and what they're doing. In this case, we just have an episode with no substance, and it's just not that great to watch here, unfortunately. So that is my review of BFM 2, and I guess my recommendations for the future. Hi, sorry if the volume for this is mildly different. I forgot to record the outro initially because of the whole, timeline warping stuff where I put TPOT at the beginning and BFM at the end. But that is all for today's episode of Object Catchup. It was mainly focused on TPOT 20. As you saw, I yapped so much about TPOT 20, nearly an hour full discussion of just that. But I still had time to sprinkle in a small little extra object show. just to show just the variance of what I am going to be discussing in this series. But yeah, didn't have time to exactly get over to old releases. We'll see, depending on every day, it could be a new releases day or it could be a catching up day. It really depends. In general, I try to watch more stuff than is released on any given day. So in this day, I did do that because TPOT 20 and BFM2 were released, and I watched 3 videos because of BFM Part 1. You see? Just roughly where I'm at. Either way, if you enjoyed the discussion, I will be discussing all episodes of all upcoming Object shows. If you are into that, of course, subscribe to any of that stuff. I don't want to plug. Who cares about plugs? Plugs are bad. We are all caught up now. See you next time.